In the world according to Sex and the City, Carrie, Samantha, Miranda, and Charlotte fling pebbles at windows, zip here and there by horse-drawn carriage, and run and kiss in the rain. The series contains some of the all-time greatest romantic gestures, like when Mr. Big finally whispers to Carrie, "You are the one," when Smith flies through the night to tell Samantha he loves her, or when Harry proposes to Charlotte at the synagogue singles mixer. But then, on my 6th or 7th viewing, the show began to distort. Just like that, I saw that Big could be despicable, but Carrie was also brutal to Big. And God knows that Carrie hurt Aiden, but then Aiden hurt Carrie right back. Of the 9 major romantic pairings on the show, 6 of them degenerate into infidelity, and ferocious callousness is tossed off everywhere. Heaving along to the glittering romantic gestures, I realized that I had missed it all. I started to feel quietly nervous that maybe the show was bad for me. I thought through every callous and cruel relationship I'd ever let befall me, of the men I'd measured against Mr. Big, and I wondered, what in God's name had I imbibed? Of course, I didn't quit watching. I couldn't. But I did worry about what the show was teaching me about love and romance. I worried that the show was molding me into something naive, something plastic. And then, in the most clarifying thought I've ever had about the show, I realized that I wasn't the only one worrying. Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda, and Samantha have always been just as suspicious of romance tropes as I had become. Between the show's gushing romantic miracles are small yet strapping moments where the Sex and the City women do their best to interrogate romance myths and caution one another that it is all too easy to be swallowed whole by them. Take the opening shots of the series. As Carrie drafts her newspaper column, she types out the words "Once Upon a Time" and narrates a romantic fairy tale about a woman who moves to New York and finds the perfect man. And then, the fairy tale goes belly up when the perfect man stops calling, and the new New Yorker is shattered. Carrie cautions her readers that the city breeds cynicism. It's no place for fairy tales. As she explains,
welcome to the age of uninnocence. No one has breakfast at Tiffany's, and no one has affairs to remember. Instead, we have breakfast at 7 a.m. and affairs we try to forget as quickly as possible. Self-protection and closing the deal are paramount. Cupid has flown the co-op.
It's like a content warning for the rest of the series. Don't believe the 50-hour fairy tale we're about to show you. Or take this episode from Season 2, where Miranda reviles urban relationship myths.
Urban relationship myth. Unbelievable fairy tales concocted by women to make their love lives seem less hopeless.
Exactly, except it makes you feel even more hopeless because this fabulous, magical relationship is never happening to you.
Again and again, the foursome, Carrie, Miranda, and Samantha especially, warn one another not to fall prey to relationship myths, not to mistake romance tropes for reality. But it's not easy, and they have their work cut out for them with Charlotte, who falls for these myths constantly and head first. As Miranda describes,
You've got a very obvious pattern, you know.
I do? What? Tell me.
You wait for a perfect guy to ask you on a perfect date.
And when he does, you project this huge fantasy on him, setting up these enormous expectations.
Which promptly blow up in your pretty little face.
You put all your deviled eggs in one basket, so to speak.
the most explosive of Charlotte's fantasies begins in Season 3. As she flees the scene of a bad date, Charlotte trips and falls onto the street. A cab stops just short of her, and the man inside runs to her rescue. As he lifts her to her feet, it's suddenly love at first sight. It's a magical meet-cute, the kind of story that Charlotte tells and tells and tells, how she bagged the perfect guy. But fast forward 24 episodes, and Charlotte and Trey are married and unhappy. They occupy separate bedrooms, speaking hardly and harshly. Charlotte's faith in the mythical perfect man has collapsed. At this point in the series, Charlotte is made to face the fact that there is no such thing as a perfect relationship. What's bizarre is that Charlotte works to keep that myth alive for other women. She can't help herself. When House and Garden magazine proposes a photo shoot of Charlotte and Trey as the perfect couple in their Park Avenue apartment, Charlotte jumps at the chance. Why play act? Because as a girl, she had dressed up in her mother's pearls to read every new House and Garden issue, and now she can't turn down the opportunity to be featured. She asks Trey to move his things out of the guest room, and they pose.
Trey, you don't have
No.
to.
This is important to you. I at least want to do this.
Handsome husband, beautiful wife, having breakfast.
Smile.
Trey had moved out by the time the magazine was on the stands. But all over America, little girls in their mother's pearls saw the picture and thought, that's what I want.
Every time I watch this scene, I sob. Some of my tears are for Charlotte's doomed marriage, but mostly I cry because I see myself in Charlotte and in those girls decked in pearls. I know that, in part because I'll never, ever, ever stop watching this show. I am adrift in the same romantic myths that led Charlotte to this heartbreak, and I can't look away any more than she can. It's a hard habit to kick. Cases in point. The very episode where Miranda makes fun of women who believe in urban relationship myths, women who believe they'll find love by running in the rain, ends with Miranda running after Steve and yelling,
Maybe I can believe it.
Closer to the end of the series, Carrie tells Alexander that she won't stand for any mushy-gushy romantic gestures. She wants something real. But then, just a few episodes later, Carrie cries out that what she really wants from him is
Real love. Ridiculous. Inconvenient. Consuming. Can't live without each other love.
A few seconds later, in the final moments of the show, Carrie swoons when Big shows up in Paris to win her back, which is arguably the show's grandest and gushiest gesture. Incidentally, Candace Bushnell's Sex and the City book, on which the series is based, ends not so happily. Real-life Carrie begs to be committed to an insane asylum when real-life Big breaks it off, which is just one more anecdote that proves how fantastical the show's treatment of romance is. I see now that part of the reason I love this show, part of the reason I'll never stop watching, is because Carrie, Samantha, Miranda, Charlotte, and I are in the same boat. They urge one another over and over not to fall for romantic myths, and I try to keep myself from falling for the show's most mythic romance scenes. But try as we might, we fall over and over again. And so I feel bonded to them, welded to them, in a commiserative spirit. Even to Carrie, who is herself a big romance industry player. She makes a shockingly lucrative living writing newspaper columns and books on romance. The series is punctuated and organized by close-ups of her clunky computer screen as she types out her column and voiceovers of her reading it aloud. It's never entirely clear where we fit into her stories, whether we're watching the events that inspire her columns or we're watching what she's already written. But I get the sense that somehow, that even she too is in over her head. About halfway through the series, Carrie flies to LA for a meeting with Warner Brothers Studios. They want to put her columns on the big screen, but the talk goes poorly because Carrie is afraid the movie will romanticize Mr. Big. When I watch this scene, part of me wants to shake Carrie and tell her it's a little too late for such a concern. I, and who knows how many millions of other fans, have already fallen for him. She exits the meeting and accidentally wanders onto a Hollywood set of New York City. The camera zooms out and Carrie looks small. With a defeated air, she ponders her romantic history. The other part of me, the part that doesn't want to shake Carrie, sighs along with her. she sitting unhappily perched on that production set stoop, and I lurking just behind the screen, are both caught in some romance industrial machine that neither of us understand.